we found for years that one of the highest leverage focuses for any of us is to learn what it means to be a good listener. And there's a series of stages in this. And it's not like you go 1, 2, 3, and that's it. It's like any developmental model. You understand the higher levels of development because you're always falling back. We're always falling back. We all do that. You know, in addiction studies, they call it relapse, right? We all relapse. What we relapse to is not listening. Yeah, the person's talking, but I'm really only hearing myself. We barely listen. Maybe that would be the technical correct term for that lowest level, is barely listening. That's the state we're in much of the time, all of us. The second level, we start to pay more attention. Then, you know, we start to actually hear what a person says. We often call it objective listening. And it's very important. You know, if you study debate, you can't be a good debater if you don't listen to the argument of your opponent, because you're trying to figure out how to respond or come up with a better argument or whatever. But that's an important part of listening. We actually are starting to hear more of what's actually said. The third is more hearing not only what's said, but who's saying it. The kind of typical word for this is empathetic listening. So I'm not only hearing your words, I'm hearing you, the person speaking the words. I'm starting to feel, oh, well, you said this, but boy, the feeling I get is you're really sad about this situation. So that's a very important step in listening. And it's when we really are starting to listen, you might say, more fully, cognitively and emotionally. And it's not just the empathy we hear. We hear the words and we hear the person. So empathetic listening is probably a little bit technically incomplete. But you get the idea. As I say, it's hearing what the person says and whose the person is. Because we're always interested in these dynamics at the individual and collective level, the fourth level of listening is always hard to explain in words because there's no simple English expression that kind of gets at it. But it's basically the whole listening to the whole. When a group starts to listen at all those levels, and it's hearing the group. It's hearing what the whole is trying to say, not just what the individuals are trying to say. This is the traditional meaning of the word dialogue, from the Greek dialogos, when meaning starts to move through. It's a conversation that we love because deep down it's one of the most meaningful things in our lives. We think, wow, that was an incredible conversation. She said this and he said this, but after a while it's like we were really talking. The we starts to show up in a very particular way, in a way that otherwise it never is there. You know, there's always a we because there's a bunch of individuals, but they're a bunch of individuals. They're not a collective.